At Dot and Company, we believe that all agencies deserve amazing account managers and that all of those account managers deserve to be supported, encouraged, and loved on. That's why we started CAM Community, a membership only for account managers. And inside, you'll gain access to the exact training we use to train our own client facing account managers, but also access to all of our SOPs, processes, and live trainings on a variety of topics. If you're an account manager, this is the place you've been waiting for. Learn more at dotandcompany.co/CAM community.
This is what I see over and over again, is to really let go of the guilt, because we are so hampered by guilt as mothers when we're trying to figure out what work life looks like. Just know this, there is no magical picture that is going to make you just guilt-free.
Welcome to the Happy Clients Podcast, brought to you by Dot and Company. Whether you're a virtual assistant, an agency owner, or a client-facing account manager, we all deal with clients. Lucky for you, client management is what we do best. Now, let's dig in, chat cam life, and have some fun along the way. Cheers to happy clients.
Well, welcome to the Happy Clients Podcast, Regina. I'm super excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be talking with you. This is great.
Yay. And I'm excited about our topic that we're going to get into, because for all the parents out there, I think chatting with other parents who are also running agencies can be inspiring, and just like being on the same page in terms of our priorities. So I'm excited to dig into balancing parenthood and running an agency. But yeah, let's get right into it, Regina. So can you kind of walk us through your journey of starting this consulting practice, this agency? How did this even happen?
Sure. So I started my career out in an agency, actually PR agency, and really enjoyed it, working for a bunch of different clients, but found very early on that the idea of parenthood, especially motherhood, in such a fast-paced, tough world that is the agency world, it's very difficult. You're almost expected to put your motherhood to the side, sort of leave that at home, and show up to work without that piece of you. Just find some way to kind of keep your kids in the margins of the picture and live that way. And I saw that in my own agency with a few friends who were in the stage of life of having kids. I saw them go through that, some friends at the agency, and it was almost shocking to see the lack of support and just the expectation, I think, for mothers. Like, you go off, you have your baby, you don't talk about it, you come back to work and we don't talk about it again. You know, when I started having my own kids, I just thought, I'm not going to go through the same journey. I'm going to find something where I can actually be with my children, spend the time I want to with my children. And what that ended up being for me was starting my own agency, which really started, honestly, just as me building my own client portfolio alone as a solopreneur. But I soon generated enough work that I really needed to scale and expand. And I had this dream all along of, there's more women out there who would really benefit from, I think many of those women maybe step out of the workforce because they say, I would love this opportunity to be there with my kids, to raise their, kind of be hands-on as they grow up. So what I'm going to do is step out of the workforce, because I don't see a way that can be compatible with growing my career. And so many women make that their choice, which is great. And some thrive in the stay-at-home mom environment. Others would love to have an option to grow professionally and just don't see that option is there. So they decide to step out when in actuality they do feel called to pursue professional obligations. I just thought, wow, if I can grow this business, I can really open this up to other women who are looking for this in their own lives. And that's how it grew. And we're up now to 7 employees, all of whom, most of them, incredible, all of whom are moms. Yeah. And the way that we've structured it is everybody works from home. We did this before COVID, but once COVID hit, it became just I don't know, much more. At first, people were like, "Oh, that's a little odd, only your calls are all video calls and people are all from home." But after COVID, it became so normalized that it really helped us give us a boost. And then everybody chooses a schedule based on their availability. So one of my moms, for example, is one of our graphic designers. She has 4 kids, but they're all older. So her youngest is 7. So during the school day, she's really free the whole day from, 8:30 until 3 o'clock. So those are her working hours. Another one of my project managers, she's a pretty young mom. So she has 3 under 3 and she works 20 hours because that's what she can do. That's when she has her babysitter. And we make that work. So it's a very flex schedule that molds to your life rather than trying to cram you into the 40-hour 9 to 5 standard that for some reason we all have, which doesn't really make sense in 2024.
No, it really doesn't, especially for moms. Like, I always knew that the 40-hour work week was not a realistic thing. And I knew that once I had kids, it would become even more apparent. But I just don't understand how parents do it. Like, the math ain't mathin', as they say.
Yes.
Where are the hours? Like,
Right.
where are you making supper? Where are you going to the grocery store between dropping off kids? Like, are you just grabbing McDonald's every night? I just don't understand. So there has to be some ebb and flow, whether it's working from home and then you can throw a load of laundry in throughout the day or go grab your groceries at lunch, or working 20 hours. Like, there has to be some give and take to, be successful in both parenthood and at work.
Exactly. And there's so many pieces of being a mother that require a physical presence. Little things like, right now I work from home. We have an au pair, but we're all together at home. So a kid, is outside, falls on their bike. I can quickly be the one who runs down and fixes up the boo-boo and puts a Band-Aid. Little things like that where you just want to have that mothering moment. And it's great for them that their mother's able to do that, and I want to be able to do that. And it takes 30 seconds, but you have to be there. Like, it requires
Mhm.
your physical presence. There's so many little things like that. And just being a mother that, is invaluable. If a mother decides that's what I want to be part of my life, then work should respect that. Yes, it requires a lot of those physical things. And, the same with just keeping up the home. It's just, I mean, between my husband and I, it's just, who's doing this with the groceries and with the dinner and with the bath time. And it's a lot of work. And, it's important that your job respects that.
Totally. How has this shaped your culture at your agency now? Because this was your priority, and then you brought in people who also share that same priority. What's the culture like at your agency?
So it's interesting. I guess what I would say is the culture is um, it's very fast paced. It's very, we're here to kind of do the job. Because I think being mothers, we really recognize that every minute is so precious of the time we're spending on work that we actually spend it on work. So we have a culture that's very sort of anti-meeting, sort of kind of wasting time. I mean, the amount of time that I wasted in the other agency life I worked for, because you have to fill those 40 hours, right? But you don't necessarily have 40 hours of billable client time. I probably actually worked maybe 10 hours a week, maybe, like, if you really count and look at how many hours exactly, like, are you actually putting into something that's going to generate a deliverable, something quantifiable. So if we look at Tenuto culture, it's very much when we're working and we're on. And then we also have this sense that the ebb and flow of children is just a regular part of the flow. So kids pop on calls all the time. I have several actually who are exactly in your stage. So we had 3 babies turn 1 this summer. Throughout this whole past year, moms would pop on a baby to nurse while we're in a call or something, and just things like, "Hey, I need to turn off my camera because the baby's hungry. The babysitter just brought me the baby to nurse," and, things like that. It's just even with our clients, it's just a cultural norm that children can just be a normal part of your life. You don't have to sort of hide your children in the closet and,
Hmm.
make sure the client doesn't know that there's children here.
Yeah.
We don't have that
Yeah.
sense of stress that I think many other parents have to deal with, especially when they are working from home. And we saw during COVID, the level of stress of just having to have children there because people just don't respect that. They see it as a negative rather than
Hmm.
this is a positive. I'm talking to a person with a full life, who has children, who has,
Hmm.
a home. Like, this is good. It's a positive thing. So, and it's something
Yeah,
we're trying to change not only in something through our culture, we're trying to change in other business cultures too. And so far we've found that our
totally.
clients love it. I mean, they're all about,
Really
yeah, they're all
good.
about a 2-year-old popping on my lap in the middle of doing some really highbrow stuff. We'll be like brand brainstorming in the middle of it, and a 2-year-old pops on my lap to check in. I think it brings people back to humanity a little bit, and they connect with the bigger picture when children are involved, because you can't get so caught up in just the money and the profit, and then you're like, oh, this is, we're people and this is about being people. um
I love that. And I love that you brought it into the client side as well, because that was going to be my question. Like, that's great that you have the internal culture, but what do your clients think? I love that. And I think
yeah.
it's so important. And I think you're totally changing how we do business. So super inspired. So tell me a little bit about client management and client satisfaction. So are you still in the client facing seat, or do you have account managers on your team? How do you structure that?
Yeah, so just recently, because we've grown a lot in the last 18 months, we've moved into a account manager, project manager format. I'm still client facing a lot of the time, but the main to-dos, sort of get it done, weekly check-in kind of things, are run by the project managers. And then we'll have specialists. So we're mainly a creative agency. We do a lot of web branding and digital marketing. And so we'll have specialists in different things if we have graphic designers or web developers, and we'll bring those in as needed, depending on the project. But yeah, mainly I have moved a bit off of actual client delivery, and I do a lot more sales and onboarding, and then just, kind of big picture client management.
That's awesome. And so as you were training people to take over that, that's a big step that a
Yes.
lot of agency owners struggle with, removing yourself from that client facing seat. Maybe you're still there 10%, but the other 90%. How did you go about that? Like, did you train them? How did you allow that to kind of flow naturally?
It's definitely a hard part. Always delegation, especially when you grow from a solopreneur mindset where you're doing everything, to adding people, to then saying, okay, I'm going to step out a little bit of delivery. It's always very challenging. So the 2 project managers we have right now have been with me for a while. So for a long time before I really shifted a lot of the weight of the responsibility onto them. So I did feel very confident that they know our process. They know how we talk to clients, what our culture is when we're delivering on projects. And so I felt very confident, particularly in these 2 people that I asked to step into that role. And I think that that is really key. You need people who you feel like can be an extension of yourself. This is a really hard part, but letting them make their own decisions and bringing their own vision to the client, I think, can be difficult, because sometimes it's not my vision, right? And they say, I think we should structure it this way. And I say, well, that's not how I would have done it. But realizing that your ideas aren't the only ideas, and that diversity of ideas brings even more benefit to the client. So I think, but that's a hard hurdle to go over. It kind of hurts your pride a little bit when you have to let people under you have autonomy and authority. But it's worked out really well. I think this was key for me once I see how much freedom I have to build the company when I have people I trust working on delivery. You're immediately like, okay, this is why this works this way, and this is totally worth it.
I agree. Like, you can't go back from that.
No, no, not at all. Yeah, and it's
That's
beautiful.
amazing.
It's like your baby growing. I mean, it really is beautiful where you're like, I went on vacation in June for 10 days. My brother-in-law was getting married, and it was the first time. I mean, I'd been on vacation as an agency owner, but not in the same way. Like I really was unplugged for 10 days. And that was really awesome. And the clients were fulfilled. The clients were happy. My team didn't feel too overwhelmed. It really, I was like, wow, this is cool. I can let go of the steering wheel for 10 whole days and this thing runs by itself. And that's pretty amazing.
Wow, that's such a great feeling, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
it takes a
congratulations. Yeah, it takes a long time, but once you get there, it's freedom.
Yes.
Freedom in a nutshell.
Yes.
I love it. So any moms listening out there who maybe are agency owners and they are working towards this vision of time freedom with their kids, with their family, they're not sitting at their desk for 60 hours. Any advice for that mom who's listening right now?
My advice really, this is what I see over and over again, is to really let go of the guilt, because we are so hampered by guilt as mothers when we're trying to figure out what work life looks like. Just know this, there is no magical picture that is going to make you just guilt-free. You're always going to have that, because if you're working 40 hours a week, you're going to feel like that's too much and maybe you're neglecting your kids. And if you're working 20 hours a week, you're going to think, well, maybe I'm neglecting my professional life and then my kids are not going to, see what it's like to be a working woman or I mean, you're just constantly trying to do what's best for your kids. And we get so caught up in what other people are doing. And we think, okay, that's the answer. I have to be like her or have to be like her. And in reality, you really, really have to get your mind out of that and figure out what is best for you and your family. And right now I have 4 kids. What's best for me looks very different for someone who has 1 kid or someone who has 1 kid, but they have special needs. And every parent is going to have a really unique situation. And we are in this position that I don't think mothers had in the 80s and 90s, where it's not just be a stay-at-home mom or work in a company 40 hours a week. Now we have many more options, and there's companies like mine who are offering flex work and part-time work and telework, and we can build a life that works for our family. So that would be just the biggest thing, is drop the guilt and drop the trying to conform to someone else's norm, and really work on finding your own.
I love that. Very inspiring. So, Regina, where can people find you and connect with you and learn more about your agency?
Yeah, so please connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I am mainly when it comes to social media. And then learn about our agency at tenutoconsulting.com.
I love it. And we will link all of that below. But thank you so much for coming on the show. This was such a great conversation and a nice conversation that's not full account management, agency life. We're talking a little bit about family life as well. So this was such a great conversation.
Exactly. Because in the end of the day, the reason why we're entrepreneurs and building agencies is to live the way we want to live. And that includes the family.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Cheers to happy clients.